Hello and welcome to the Art of Spiritual Living online retreat. My name is Elizabeth Foley. I am an artist and a creative catalyst. I help women get in touch with their inner creative spirit and get over their creative blocks. We are joined today by Jill Mattson. She is going to be sharing with us some sound healing, which I'm super excited to share with you. But before we dive into her work, I want to take a moment just to get us all present and here together. So I'm going to invite you with me for just a moment to close your eyes and just settle into your body, bringing your attention to your breath. Just noticing your breath as it's passing in and out of your body. Noticing your chest as it's rising and falling. And now noticing anything that's come before this moment, anything that's weighing on you or keeping you from being fully present. Let's take a deep breath in together. And as we exhale, just let that all go. Now noticing anything that's coming in the future, anything you're nervous about, anxious about, anything on your to-do list. Let's take a deep breath in together. And as we exhale, just let that go. And now let's take one more deep breath, just bringing ourselves fully into this moment, right here, right now. And I am going to invite you for just a moment, if you'd like to keep your eyes closed, and I'm going to share a reading with you. This is by an author named M.E., and it's called Live in Concert. One beat at a time, sound, reaching in, pulling your core out until you are exposed, open, expanding. Your chest, flowering into eternity with the vibration, following a stream of being, mapped out by chords and rests, pulses, breaths. The sound navigates you through the waters, avoiding obstacles, demolishing barriers and erecting bridges to shores unknown, so far from home. Someone else's epiphany piped into your hearts and lungs. Your being pulled out to the event horizon, stretching towards a black hole, a place of possibilities, not of endings. Your own boundaries are blurring, erasing. You, as you float out in space, you are only your heartbeat, your blood, life force being pushed forward in time. The sound dissolves your body, shakes molecular bonds, temporarily becoming vibration and simple infinity. You are nothing, obliterated. You are everything, integrated. Perfectly, ultimately, the sound. You find yourself alive, there in the deep, vast bones of it, and up in the high treble cry of it, and all the substance, flesh, marrow, meat, in between. And that was from M.E. Live in Concert. So inviting you to open your eyes and join us. And I'm going to introduce to you Jill Mattson. She is a prolific artist, musician, and author. She's committed to teaching techniques that enhance spiritual, mental, and physical growth through vibratory energy. She's a widely recognized expert and composer in the field of sound and color healing. Jill has produced 9 musical CDs that incorporate special healing frequencies to achieve profound benefits. She's also the author of 4 books, including The Lost Waves of Time, which received an award as Best Book of 2016 and Best Alternative Science Book of 2016. So today, Jill is going to be talking with us about sound healing. Hi, welcome, Jill.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm excited about sharing sound healing. It's powerful, accurate, reusable, free.
For people who are joining us that don't know anything about sound healing, give us a little synopsis. What is sound healing all about?
Well, sound healing is almost too narrow of a word, but it's the word that's used. Everything's energy, and energy vibrates. So if you count the pulsations per second, you get a frequency, or if it was in our hearing range, you could call it a sound. So really, I'm talking about energy, and much of it we can hear. Energy transfers on the same frequency. So if I play a violin here, and I play A, and then I just have a violin sitting here doing nothing, this violin's going to start to sing the A. Nobody touches it. It's just like magic, like a little invisible gerbil tunnel. And all of a sudden, this A will trigger this A. So unbeknownst to our conscious mind, when we listen to an A, everything in our body that has the same rhythm, which is quite a few things, will also receive that vibratory energy from that A. Here's an example. In my book, Secret Sounds, Ultimate Healing, I discuss the work of bioacoustics by Sherry Edwards. And Sherry can play the frequency associated with niacin. Now, that's an herb that makes your face flush, among other things. You listen to the sound, that's it. You don't take the pill, and your face flushes. You can, I have a CD, Deep Wave Beauty, that has a vitamin vibratory complement on it. So it's the frequencies that you get in a vitamin pill. And when you take the pill, you don't always use it. Often we pee it out. You know, it has to be in proper proportion. And as you age, you end up taking less and less nutrition. But when you listen to it, sound and slow in close proximity, it combines and it alters each other. So can you get the impact of a vitamin in your body through sound? Yes. I mean, when you take a pill, how does your body know it's a pill and not a Twinkie? Well, it would count, for one, it would count the frequency. So when you get the same frequency, you're absorbing the same energy that is what you need to, metabolism and different things within. And we all know, you go to the movies and the emotions are all in the soundtrack. And so we all know how much it affects our feelings. And really, do you think it comes in and not affect your thoughts, or not affect your liver, or skip your right toe? It changes it all, but it's little doses, and your physicality is fairly hard. And in order to change your physicality, you need a little stronger dosage, something that ancient sages and masters were well aware of. So we're bringing back this ancient art of using sound for anything spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Wow.
And it's great.
Fascinating. I love the analogy you make to being in a movie and the way that like the sounds can affect your emotions. That's something that's really, for those of us that might not quite understand how this all works, that's a really kind of easy way to understand that. So
Thank you.
So tell me, I'd love to hear a little bit about, before we kind of dive a little further into sound healing, I'd love to hear like, what does spirituality mean to you, and how does your work with sound relate to that?
Well, I've had a long journey with spirituality, and it's come to mean consciousness. In other words, before I was awake or had lower consciousness, I wasn't always thinking of is much the right thing to do or who I wanted to be. I wasn't aware of how I was impacting someone else's feelings or thoughts. Now I usually can read them. And I didn't have clairvoyance. I didn't have clairaudience. It's like my consciousness had to raise. And now it's like I'm exposed to like other realms, more information, more thoughts, more ideas. It's like my blocks are gone emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and I can accept new ideas, new thoughts, do things I never thought were possible. And that's, I believe, because I've raised my consciousness. So it's like if you could describe my energy before as like a little blob, now maybe I'm a little bigger blob. And within that blob of me, it's like everything's holographic and has antennas and connects with other things. And I just wasn't aware of that before. Now I am. And it changes my life and who I am. And my response to other people and my impact on them.
Do you feel like your work with the sound healing has been a big part of what's changed that consciousness within you?
Yeah, I went on a spiritual quest about 35 years ago looking for a God that was the best version of love I could find. And I went through Christianity to the Torah to the Kabbalah, the ancient Sumerians, which was really cool, into the ancient Egyptian, Lao Tzu, Buddhism, American Indians. And I spent this 30-year quest studying really about love and the highest vibration I could even conceive, because I thought more that I could think or conceive of reflected on who I was and what I concentrated on. And as I did, and I read all these ancient scriptures, like the Hindus or the Vedas, they're using sound like we use medicine. And it's reusable. It doesn't have necessarily the same side effects. It's more accurate. It's powerful and free, pleasurable.
Awesome.
And, you know, they were using it to lift rocks, to build. They're using it to get psychic skills. They're using it to rehab criminals, to change their emotional structure. Think till you go to a movie and how it changes you in that 45 minutes. They were using powerful music and long times of it to rehab criminals. They were using it, you know, for healing your spleen, for healing a cracked bone. And today we're really doing a lot of that. You can go to an orthopedic surgeon after you've broken a bone, and not all, but many of them will give you a little box that gives you a sound, the sound of your bone. And it'll take your healing time in half. So medicine is already embracing it, but they're not calling it sound healing. Think of an echocardiogram, a TENS unit, of blasting a kidney stone with sound. Royal Rife, a doctor in the 40s, was looking at live cancers, and it's a vibration when you look at the live molecule. It looks like a little jellyfish. And with physics, you can measure the timing and the distance, come up with the frequency of the cancer. Let's say it's 10 cycles per second. Expose a patient to 1/10 cycles per second. Energy combines, 10 times 1/10 is 1. They cancel out. And he was curing cancer. So it's the medicine of tomorrow.
That's fascinating. So I understand on this session, we're going to be sharing some of your sound creations. And I would love to talk about how the participants can use that to enhance their own spiritual practice.
Okay. Well, I have 3 CDs actually, that are very good for enhancing your aura. Very long ago, they really prized psychic skills, not something that society is uniformly appreciating today. Right. Look to the Old Testament. And you'll see that they would watch when music would make somebody's aura light up to white light. Now, if you go have Carillion photography, see your aura. I mean, mine's get yellow and blue and different spots, but it's a very special person that's white, the combination of all the colors. And it's a very healthy, enlightened person. And so when you listen to a song and all of a sudden you light up like a white Christmas tree, that was very special, very healing on many levels. So like would heal your consciousness, and maybe as a byproduct, it would heal your cancer. I mean, this is kind of how they viewed, you know, physical, mental, and spiritual energies overlapping. So then they would figure it out what it was. So it's the things that makes your aura light up is sacred geometry, which is shapes found in nature, things made by God. Bit a different type of math, excuse me. One that was different than we would even think of today. They would like look at geometry, and they had a way of creating numbers and making patterns. So they came up with the Fibonacci series, a series of a number that in their math would create, the spiral in a galaxy, the center of a beehive, the center of a daisy. And tens of thousands of times it's found in your body. So they'd say this is one of God's favorite math patterns. And then when they put that to sound, white light. And so that's my Paint Your Soul CD. And in my free sample, there's a sample of that. Then there's also another method that they had. This was from the ancient Sumerians, the star people. Think of them as the mages that went to see Jesus at his birth, the wise men. And they would tune to the stars, go figure. But you can tune to the stars because they create a big frequency in their orbit. In their orbit and rotation. And it's below our hearing range, but it can be recorded on NASA. I mean, it's not a woo-woo thing. The orbits create frequencies, we receive them. And when you listen to them, again, you just light up like a Christmas tree. And I find animals healing and animals being attracted to this, plants healing better, with both the Fibonacci, the solfeggio, and the star tones. And so, sorry, I have a little cough here.
That's okay.
And so those 2 CDs will light up your aura. Now, where does the white light come from? The white light comes from chakras above your head. So the Paint Your Soul CD is going to open up your soul chakra, which enhances your consciousness, and then 5 feet above your the higher chakra for stardust. And so there's your spiritual way, just listening. You can sleep to it, and think of the idea of dosage. The more you listen, the more it helps you. You can sleep with it, you can listen to it for long periods of time, and it will alter your life.
Yeah, that's a great thing that you kind of led to there. Like, how would you recommend that people listen to this to get the most benefit from it?
Well, the more you pay attention to something, the greater rate at which you absorb it. So if you really sink into the music and give it your full attention, it will heal you in the most powerful way. If you don't have time and you're driving or doing dishes or sleeping, you ingest sound while you sleep, you get a smaller rate of dosage. But if you listen to it all night long, you kind of make up for that in spades for the duration. So I would say to pick a method that suits your lifestyle in the moment.
I like that. That's great. Because, I mean, some of us, it's hard to find 30 minutes to listen to a CD and just be present there with that. And I'm sure that that's a wonderful practice, but I love that permission to, listen to it while you're sleeping, or listen to it while you're on your way to work, or whenever you can.
And small volume is good. It's not necessarily better loud, because loud forces the information to go through your nervous system, which is good, but soft will run through your your skin ripples, and it'll go into your skin, and it'll vibrate other tissues and organs. So, like softly when you're sleeping or softly when you're working, it's great benefit.
Awesome.
And that's the spiritual. I have also ones, I forgot, I have another spiritual one. I have one on crystals, and the frequency, everything is a frequency. So crystals have a characteristic frequency, and then I got a hold of microscopic recordings, just sound recordings of the energy of crystals. And so I have crystal and flower music and crystal realms, and it kind of takes you into almost the fairy realms or 5th dimension. It's very high, again, white light. The reason why we like crystals around is because they have a high vibration. And they also have a high vibration in sound. So, and then my next category would be emotional. And I think this is the most impactful. So the crystal and flower music does influence your emotions. And the ancient idea of healing with sound for emotions is that any good habit it's just a habit. If you're impatient, but you make yourself be patient for 100,000 times, trust me, you're going to be a very patient person. But we don't have the concentration or focus, and there's so many things that we could do. So our willpower is a very ineffectual way to make a personal change. Whereas you can take music to put you into the emotional space of a positive attitude and sleep with it, and kabam, watch yourself change. So there's music made to give you the repeats to get into good habits. And then there's catharsis coming from the ancient Greeks, the Pythagoreans. They had each ancient civilization had their own window unto the world, and they just looked at it each one differently, and spirituality and health, the whole 9 yards. And the ancient Greeks saw everything through the lens of emotions. So they were very much into catharsism and healing all kinds of mental illnesses, difficulties with music, altering personalities, strengthening their culture, their people, their values. And the thing with catharsis is, you know, you can be so full of crap, it's kind of hard to take in anything else. Like if you're really terrified, you know, listening to Yankee Doodle Dandy ain't making you brave, because you're just full of stuff. And we all, I mean, no exceptions, we're all full of stuff. We got bad childhood memories. We've got, if you believe in past lives or karma, if you live with cranky people, don't think you're separate. You, energy in close proximity exchanges. You could go to work and have a bad situation. You could have an accident on the way home. I mean, we're all full of negative energy. And when we can't handle, what we do is that we push it down and it becomes subconscious. For me, I mean, I like to be a good person. So someone comes and does something rotten, and I like to be a good person. So I'm thinking, oh, I can forgive them. And whatever virtue I want to pretend I have, I take that pain, I don't feel it, and I just like squash it. And then I'm an artist, so I'll say it's all gone, I'm fine, and I'll paint about it for the next 6 months. Well, no, it wasn't all gone. It wasn't gone at all. I just hid it for myself. So what you're doing in catharsis is that you're hiding all the negative crap you don't even know you have. But when you don't know what your purpose is, when you can't say, this is what really trips my trigger, when you're cautious about being close to other people, when you avoid people or things, I mean, you're full. And you turn on numb, and you talk about creative blocks, here it is. You just fill up with the negative, you don't know you have it, and you're just stuffed. And that makes you sick. It makes you isolated, etc. So what I've done in the Healing Flower Symphonies is this, that we go into the negative emotion. Now, here's an example. If I worry, it's a certain frequency like everything else. It's the same frequency as the lining in my tummy. So I worry, all that garbage goes into the lining of my tummy, and I get an ulcer. I don't get a bunion. I don't get a headache. I get an ulcer because the energy changes on that frequency. So in order to get, let's say, worry out, it gets stuck underneath tissues, bones, skin, organs. And what the music does, it's kind of like it goes in and scratches it out. So the Healing Flower Symphonies might even be a little uncomfortable as they go in and they kind of pull out all this garbage that's trashing your life. And you will feel it for a second. To heal it, you must feel it. And if you want to keep it, you can. But you ain't getting rid of it unless you feel it. So because as it leaves your fields, you feel it. And it goes in, and it's a 2D CD set, and it will go in and find every area in which you have that particular negative emotion. It'll like ring it free and pop it out. And then the music transitions into the positive. So like we pull out impatience, and then you build patience. And we do have a sample, so maybe we could listen to this. It's just the positive half, but it's called Mimulus, and it's a flower remedy. I also put in the frequencies of the flower remedies. And the ancient idea of healing with a flower remedy is that a daisy's cheerful, a rose is beautiful, and you know, we give flowers to people when they're sick or upon death or grieving people to lift them, because you're not separate from other things, but that each flower is like its own medicine, you know, a different flower for a different emotion. And so in addition to doing the catharsism and the virtue building, like the Greeks, I then put in the frequencies of flowers and flower remedies just to make it stronger. Cool. So we have a little clip on the positive end of Mimulus, which is fearlessness. And one of the ways I creatively built the song, the music in it, was that I thought, well, what are you not afraid of? And I thought of the knowing of your heartbeat. And I put in like a taped heartbeat as the rhythm pattern. And I built the song of invincibility, the feeling of invincibility. And so here's Mimulus. I have some CDs that address physical issues. One is the Deep Wave Beauty. And in Deep Wave Beauty, I've got the frequencies of the muscles in your face and neck. And think of a violin with a short string and it's a high pitch, cello with a long string, low pitch. So as we age, our muscles sag and they get lower, they get flat musically. So I've put in nice youthful frequencies for the muscles in your face and neck, and vitamins to support, and collagen to support the skin structure. So it's beautiful music on one octave. On another octave, it's a little cosmetic. And it's also good for your body. I had this one lady write in, and she was getting ready to go to a high school reunion. So she listened to Deep Wave Beauty, and a lot. She put it on, she worked at home. She listened to it round the clock for a week.
Wow.
And it made a huge difference in her appearance. But the testimony about was she had had failed knee surgery 6 months ago and hadn't walked. And after that week, she was walking.
Wow.
And I started to delve in it, and the frequencies of the muscles in your face and neck, they're octaves of the frequencies in your body. So your muscular system is all holographic. So energy transfers on same frequency in octaves, which is just the same note, higher or lower, CC. And she was walking.
Well, I'm excited to dive in and have a listen to some of this great stuff. And then there's the heart. And the heart was kind of a cool one. The heart, I had this out-of-body experience, and it doesn't really matter if people believe it or not, the out-of-body experience, because it just gave me an idea, which was, I think, very powerful. But here's the out-of-body experience. Here's the story. I kind of flipped out of my body, and I felt like I was hovering over these children, and I felt like it was Atlantis, and I felt like it was latter Atlantis. And my understanding was that these children that looked very much like you and me when we were kids had stories from their ancestors. And I kind of got the feeling like Atlantis was around for like 250,000 years, long time. So they were talking about their ancestors who were not necessarily Homo sapiens. And they were kind of a higher evolved being, not quite so physical.
definitely their ancestors were fully clairvoyant, fully clairaudient, etc. So that when somebody in their body, like let's say had a heart issue, they could see it, because when you're healthy, you're all beautiful colors. And so when you start having a heart issue, it starts getting like a black or dark. And if you do your aura photo or somebody's clairvoyant, they can say, ooh, there's a problem right there by the lack of light. And so they could see immediately, oops, heart slipping. And then they found that they could sing it right back into tune, or right back into health, in tune, create health through sound. And the children that I saw had toy organs, like gooey, gooey, but they weren't gooey actually, but they had organs, the toys, that were like looking like a spleen, a pancreas, all your guts. And they were learning the tones. So because these children were not the same species as their ancestors, although they still had the lore and the teaching. So they knew that their ancestors could do this because they could see the immediate, like their ancestors were like Kirlian photography in their eyes, or the third eye. And so they were teaching their children to do it without clairvoyance or clairaudience. And I guess I realized we could do that today. And in fact, my girlfriend worked in a hospital, and they had a machine there where they tuned people's organs. Like if you run a sound through an organ, what doesn't come through at the end would be the healthy frequency, or sonoscillogram right on an organ. There's many ways to come up with the frequency of a healthy organ. And so in the deep wave body, it's the frequencies of your guts, brain, the lungs, the heart, the liver, the adrenal, just right through your body. And the ancient techniques, or the group of people that were really healing their body with this technique, was the ancient Chinese. And I revived, brought back many of their techniques. So it starts out a little bit like a meditation, and then it goes into the music. So it's got harmonics, which are critical for health. It's got the root frequencies, it's got harmonious frequencies, and then it's got the ancient techniques. The deal is, each time you listen, you're tuning your organ. As you age, your organs decrease in capacity. They shut down. Most of them, I think in an average person, they might last to 120. So it's not that much of an issue, but the organs of someone 60 is not the same as someone 20. But you can retune, you can revitalize, you can reharmonize, make sound health. And the idea is that you'll also find there's a little bit of cathartic release in it, because you store different emotions, because the organs are different frequencies, just like we talked about worry goes to the lining in the tummy. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of cathartic release, and you'll find that each organ feels different. Mm-hmm. It's almost pretend you're God and your organs are like your planets or something. You can check in and see which one's down, and tune it in, and actually develop a relationship, a conscious relationship with them, which is what the ancients did. And if you don't want to do any of that, listen to it while you sleep.
Yeah.
Imagine your heart. It is a little bigger than your fist, like a lopsided bag. It's bigger on the top than the bottom. It's in the center of your chest, at the level of your breasts. Focus on your heart. What does it feel like? Imagine the heart colored pink, then green. It's balanced. Imagine that a fire is encasing your heart, and this energy is very healing. Recall how you feel in the summertime when the sun is at the highest point in the sky. Recall the feeling of bitter. Visualize wood feeding a fire. These sensations enhance the energy of fire. strengthening your heart. Now we're going to clear negative energy associated with the heart. You will feel negativity briefly as you release your stored negative energy. Recall hysteria and excitement. Feel it and breathe it out. Feel cowardly, deceitful, and paranoid. Let it go. Now feel courage, valor, honesty, and compassion. Feel love. Feel joy. Breathe it in and become it. The music that follows has the tones and the harmonics associated with a healthy heart. Listen and absorb and love the heart that has been with you your whole life, faithfully beating, faithfully loving you. The harmonics are soft, sometimes out of your hearing range. You still receive the healthy vibration in the meditation.
And any final words for us today, Jill?
Let the music play you. Listen to what you love, and it'll slowly transform you into that.
Mm-hmm. I love this. I'm super excited to dive into the music and experience it more. And I can't wait to hear from all of you. Come over to the Facebook group and share your experience with us. We'd love to hear, how did the music affect you? Did something shift for you after listening to it, or how did you listen to it? I'd love to hear your experience. So come over and share with us. And thank you so much for being with us, Jill. And
You're welcome.
Blessings, everyone.
Blessings.